we've said on the show before, John, like, I've got an uncle who calls Konate Daisy, because some days he's great and some days he's absolutely dreadful, and there's very little in between. It's very rare you get an Ibou, like she says, you very rarely get an Ibou Konate 4 out of 10, sorry, a 6 out of 10, he's either a 4 or an 8, he's somewhere in between. And Mateta, to be fair, is a big physical lad, and but he felt like he was having him. And
on the day that we're playing Mateta is when you need Konate to stand up, because he's big, he's strong, he's fast.
He's avoiding Virgil.
And he totally, lets him do what he wants. I mean, the guy hit the post and had one just over the bar, didn't he? And he caused absolute havoc because Konate just wasn't at the races.
We went a little bit social clip viral at the weekend, Ste. I don't know if you saw it. It was Chris and it wasn't Chris's comment, it was more Chris talking about like the way people were talking to us about Ibou Konate, and there's a lot of people who were saying, is his head just in Madrid and he just wants to go? First of all, playing like that, he'd be lucky to get into, I don't know, Real Madrid's B team, never mind the team. But there's definitely conversations about his future. We saw a little bit with Alexander-Arnold last year, certain performances where it was easy to question where's his head at, basically. The flip counter to this is Ibou Konate has had these games before. He's been ragdolled a little bit, like Dominic Calvert-Lewin's done him a couple of times. I'm just thinking of derbies, but there's been other strikers who have really gone to town on Ibou Konate. So again, we can't give it a definitive answer because only he knows what's going on behind the scenes and what's in his head. But it was quite clear very early on that Mateta had the better of him, and that Ibou was having another one of those games where he just looks all at sea. Yeah,
absolutely. You know very quickly what you're going to get from him. He'll either win one really physical battle and you think, right, he's strapped in now and he's going to have a go all game. Guacares against Arsenal, he was outstanding in that game. But it isn't happening often enough. And you can go back to that Champions League final that we lose to Real Madrid. If we win that game, that defensive performance is one for the ages. But that player's in there, but we don't see him often enough.
I mean, we had problems again down our right side. I mean, I don't know what Conor Bradley was half the time. They were going past him as if he wasn't there. And it doesn't help if your centre-back isn't on his game, because you really do rely on those guys to cover. And he just wasn't at it. Having said that, there were times when he was losing the ball and there was no midfield anywhere near him to help him.
Yeah, people can't blame the defeaters because the battles are all on one centre-half. That would be unfair. There's a lot of players there who didn't perform. We're going to speak about a few of them later. But on the Konate thing, there's a couple of questions here. The first one is, it is a little bit highlighted by the fact that the lad he tried to buy was playing for the other team and had a pretty good game all told. And he was defensively strong for the most part. He looked good on the ball as well. That only goes to show actually a little bit like, it's so early, it's September, we played 6 games, whatever, like don't stress too much. Like, if Ibou doesn't book it up soon, Liverpool might rue the fact that they didn't get that Marc Guehi deal done.
Absolutely, I think they already do. Because I said before, maybe it's opportunity to give Gomez a couple of games because we've seen what level he can get to. Not in recent years as such, on a consistent level, but he has games where he's very good. He comes off the bench and is really strong. Arsenal again, really good against Arsenal. If it carries on like this, then that 25-30 million that we looked at to get him might be what we have to spend in January to bring him in. I think the damage is done there. I think he is looking for the door in terms of getting out and going somewhere, and obviously well documented Real Madrid are looking at the situation. But I read that Chelsea have decided not to bother because all indications are he wants Liverpool. So you don't know, do you? But that's what they're speculating.
What I say, Steve,
you've got to have him. You've got to try, haven't you? You've got to try is the point I'm making. You've got to spend 25 million quid and get him in because...
Well, now Leoni's gone as well, because now we're very, very short.
Even more so.
I was about to say, if I'm Real Madrid watching that game and there are 2 free agents who I could sign, I can tell you which one I'm buying and which one I'm going for and which one I'm not. And that is Liverpool's worry now. They missed out, and again, I'm not sitting here and completely blaming Liverpool. They had a really good transfer window, and Palace, they thought they had a deal done and they changed their mind, which is their prerogative. But like this idea now that I go back to John, if I'm Real Madrid watching that, I'm on the phone to, never mind Ibou Konate's agent, I think I'm ringing Marc Guehi's agent up and going, you might be the man for us.
Maybe, but if they see something in Konate they want, they won't mind him being awful for Liverpool. They like unsettling players. That's half of their reason for doing it.
Yeah.
We saw that with Trent. I mean, he had some shocking games after it became known that he was going to Madrid. And Madrid loved that.
I've always felt, Steve, with Ibou, and again...
And we're playing them in a few weeks.
I was going to say, if you go and put yourself in the shop window, I've always felt with Ibou, he was at his best when his place wasn't guaranteed. So last season, for example, he isn't in the team to start. Kwanzaa's in the team, and Ibou's got a point to prove and comes in and actually plays very, very well. He has, for the most part, he has a really good season. He probably isn't quite as good after the injury against Real Madrid, but he has a good season. Years before that, when he was at his best, Joel Matip, for example, might have been first choice or knocking on the door as well. Joe Gomez was a different player then, a different level maybe. Now he's got, obviously, especially with Leoni out, he's got Gomez, and by the way, last time we saw Gomez against Southampton, he had one a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Like, maybe Ibou is just one of those players who you've got to be constantly, he's got to be fighting for his place all the time, and maybe he gets a little bit comfortable, because it is quite difficult to explain how he can go from, just a couple of weeks ago looking like, again, one of the best defenders on the planet, to looking like like he hadn't played football before.
Yeah, it looks to me very much like he has concentration issues as well, because there were times during the game his starting position is, I can't understand his starting position, and he's got like the best centre back arguably to do it alongside him. Do you have to babysit the player through 90 minutes, telling him where to be at all times? Virgil's got his own jobs to do without being the brain for Konate as well. And you look at it and think, you're right, it's we need that competition. I don't know that Leoni would have been competition as promising as he was. It's still very.
It was
young.
one game against Southampton.
Yeah, exactly. Still very, very young. I think we go back to what you said. We rue the missed opportunity to bring in a player of Marc Guehi's ability, and we might miss out. We might not, but we might. Had he been in there right now, then your centre-back partnership, without a doubt, based on 6 games prior to the Palace game, would be Guehi and Van Dijk. I watched the show pre-season where you thought Guehi was better than Konate. And
I can't believe.
I agree.
I couldn't believe how much argument I got about that. I mean, again, this is my opinion. I'm just a big fat ball guy who talks about footy on the internet. But the way people talk about Ibou Konate sometimes, to me, I just don't see it. I think he's really good, and I think his best level is brilliant. Like, his best level is like Virgil-esque, but that's once every so often. Yeah. His worst level is so poor, John. I'm not saying Lovren, but kind of. Like, when he has one, he properly has one. Like, when Virgil has a bad game, and Virgil had bad games before, it never looks like he's flustered or you can constantly get at him. He just makes the difficult decisions.
The trouble with Konate, there's too many things which go wrong for him if he's not playing well.
Yeah.
He tackles in the wrong place. He manhandles people when he shouldn't. He gets caught out of position. He gets caught on the ball. And all those things go wrong in like a perfect storm, when he's not playing well.
And that's what happened.
And it's not like he's got one fault. If Virgil doesn't have a good game, it's one thing which isn't quite right. With Konate, it's just a whole heap of things.
Absolutely, and yeah, we'll see.
But as you say, I mean, it isn't. You can't blame that defeat just on Konate. There's everything went wrong for lots of players and for the manager.
Absolutely.
He gets the spotlight put on him because of the way we choose to play with our fullbacks. And you made the point before where it was Bradley a lot of the time, because the way we play, we ask our fullbacks to go forward sometimes both at the same time. And if you're doing that, you've got to have a reliable centre-half who's tuned in and knows what he's doing on the day, not all at sea. And when they're all at sea, it's kind of it feels like the Alamo. They're just coming at you. And that's... So could have been 4-0 down in 20 minutes.
Cover, so if the cover isn't there, then you're in trouble.
Exactly.
Yeah, Mateta had them on a little bit, didn't he? Again, we're not going to blame this completely on Ibou Konate, but let us know in the comment section below your thoughts on the whole defensive situation. Is it Gomez time?
The thing is, Gomez is your only option.
Well, yeah.
So, you either play him or we've only got 2 centre-backs. Yeah.
Let us know. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on what the manager should do on that one. That was a clip from the Final Word show. If you'd like to check out the full show, head on over to redmenplus.com.